Imagine someone you trust looks you straight in the eye and tells you something that isn't true. Have you ever felt your stomach drop before your mind even understood why? What if the lie wasn't really hidden at all? What if you saw it the moment it happened and chose not to believe yourself? That contradiction is the most dangerous trap in human relationships. We trust the voice, we ignore the signal. We hear comfort, we feel danger, and we let the comfort win. It starts small, a missed detail in a story that doesn't add up, a laugh that comes a half-second too late, a promise that sounds rehearsed instead of felt. You notice it, then you forgive it, then you forget it, until one day the pattern becomes undeniable, and you ask yourself the question that breaks people the most. How long was this happening right in front of me? Here is the part that will challenge everything you believe about deception. Lying is not really about hiding the truth from you. It's about hiding the truth from the liar's own conscience first. Before anyone deceives you, they deceive themselves. They convince their own mind that the lie is necessary, justified, even kind. And that internal performance, the one they rehearse in private, is the one that eventually cracks in public. You don't catch liars because you're clever. You catch them because no one can fully control a war happening inside their own mind. This is where Carl Jung enters the picture, and not as some distant academic name from a textbook. Jung spent his life studying the parts of the human mind that people refuse to look at. He called it the shadow, the buried half of the self we don't want to admit exists. Jung believed every person carries hidden impulses, hidden fears, hidden guilt. And when someone lies, that shadow doesn't stay silent. It leaks, through the eyes, through the timing, through the silence after a sentence that should have ended with confidence, but instead trails off into doubt. Stay until the end, because the third sign is the one almost nobody notices. And once you see it, you'll never unsee it in anyone again. The first sign Jung's psychology reveals is contradiction between word and energy. Pay attention not to what someone says, but to how their body behaves while they say it. A truthful person speaks and their energy matches their words. A lying person speaks one truth with their mouth and a completely different truth with their posture, their breathing, their stillness. Have you ever had someone tell you, "I'm fine," in a tone that felt like a closing door? That gap between language and energy is not an accident. It's the unconscious mind trying to warn you because the conscious mind is too busy performing. We are taught to listen to words because words are easy to process. But words are also the cheapest currency a person owns. Anyone can arrange them. Anyone can rehearse them. What's harder to fake is stillness. What's harder to fake is presence. So when someone's words say one thing and their entire being feels like static, trust the static. That static is data. That static is the shadow trying to escape containment. The second sign is overexplanation. This one feels almost too simple, and that's exactly why it works. Truth doesn't need decoration. Truth is short, often blunt, sometimes even uncomfortable in its plainness. But a lie needs scaffolding. A lie needs extra details, extra justifications, extra evidence nobody asked for. Have you ever asked someone a simple question and gotten a 5-minute answer soaked in unnecessary information? That flood of detail isn't honesty, it's architecture. It's a structure being built in real time to hold up something that cannot stand on its own. Jung understood that the unconscious mind always seeks balance. When a person constructs an elaborate lie, their psyche senses the imbalance immediately, and it tries to compensate by adding more and more weight to the story, hoping enough weight will make it feel solid. But solid truth never needs reinforcement. Only a lie needs a foundation poured in panic. Think about the moments in your life when someone over-explained something you never even questioned. Did it feel like reassurance? Or did it feel somewhere underneath like a performance trying too hard to convince an audience that hadn't even raised its hand yet? That uninvited persuasion is one of the clearest signals the human mind can give. It's the sound of guilt trying to sound like generosity, But here is where most people stop their understanding, and where Jung's insight goes far deeper than simple body language tricks. Because catching a liar is not actually the most important lesson hidden in his philosophy. The deeper lesson is far more uncomfortable. It's about you.
Why did you ignore the signs in the first place? Why did your mind, which clearly noticed the contradiction, override its own warning system to protect a comfortable illusion instead? Jung would say this is because human beings don't actually fear being lied to as much as they fear what the truth might force them to do. If you admit the lie, you may have to lose the relationship. You may have to confront the person. You may have to face a version of your life you weren't ready for. So instead, the mind performs its own quiet betrayal. It silences its own intuition to avoid the pain of change. This is the brutal twist hidden underneath the entire topic. The person lying to you is not always the most dangerous force in the room. Sometimes the most dangerous force is your own willingness to look away, because looking away feels safer than confronting what you already know. And this brings us to the third sign, the one almost no one talks about, because it isn't about the liar at all. It's about timing. Watch closely for moments when someone answers a question before you've even fully asked it. True hesitation is normal. True thinking takes a breath. But a rehearsed lie often arrives too fast, too smooth, too ready. It's a script that was written before the scene began. When someone has an answer prepared before the question is even finished, ask yourself why they were so ready. Innocence doesn't usually come preloaded with a perfect response. Guilt does. Jung believed that the unconscious mind is always working faster than we realize, constantly preparing defenses long before we consciously decide we need them. So when a person's answer arrives suspiciously polished, it isn't necessarily because they're calm. It's because some deeper part of them already knew this conversation was coming and built the wall before you even knocked on the door.
Now place all three signs together. The mismatch between words and energy, the unnecessary flood of explanation, the unnervingly fast, too perfect response. Individually, each one could mean nothing. Together, they form a pattern that the conscious mind cannot easily fake, no matter how skilled the liar believes themselves to be. This is the real power of Jung's psychology. It doesn't teach you to interrogate people. It teaches you to finally listen to the parts of yourself you've been trained to ignore. Because here is the deepest truth hiding underneath this entire video. You already have this ability. You've had it your whole life. Every gut feeling you dismissed, every uneasy silence you talked yourself out of, every something feels off that you buried under politeness, those were not random anxieties. Those were your own unconscious mind doing exactly what Jung described, picking up on signals your conscious mind was too afraid to fully accept.
The real danger isn't that people lie to us. People have always lied, and people always will. The real danger is that we've been taught to distrust our own perception more than we distrust the people deceiving us. We call it overthinking. We call it being too sensitive. We call it jumping to conclusions. But what if it's none of those things? What if it's simply awareness that society trained you to suppress in the name of being agreeable, easy, and convenient for everyone except yourself? So the next time someone's words don't match their energy, the next time an explanation feels heavier than the question deserved, the next time an answer arrives a little too fast and a little too clean, don't argue yourself out of what you're sensing. Don't apologize for noticing. Awareness is not paranoia. Awareness is the one part of you that refuses to be deceived, even when everything else in you wants peace more than truth. Carl Jung spent his life trying to teach the world one uncomfortable lesson.
The most dangerous lies are not the ones told to your face. They are the ones you've been telling yourself to avoid the pain of seeing clearly. So watch the energy, watch the explanation, watch the timing. But more than anything, watch yourself, because the moment you stop silencing your own intuition is the moment no one can deceive you twice. Claude is.